What if the most powerful superfood on Earth wasn't a berry, a powder, or something locked behind a subscription, but a tree? A tree you can grow in a simple pot, on a balcony, in your backyard. And yet, almost no one talks about it. This is a tree that has more vitamin C than oranges, more calcium than milk, more potassium than bananas, and somehow still flies under the radar of modern nutrition. Somewhere between the kale smoothie craze and the fourth rebranding of turmeric, the most nutritionally powerful plant on Earth got completely ignored. Which is strange, because for thousands of years, entire civilizations didn't just eat this tree, they survived on it. They used it to heal wounds, to fight malnutrition, even to clean dirty water. So how does something this powerful stay invisible? Ancient texts mention it. Egyptian tombs contain it. Modern scientists are still trying to catch up to it. It's called Moringa, and by the end of this video, you're going to wonder how the most wanted tree on Earth has stayed hidden in plain sight. Let's break it down. Point 1. The nutrition numbers that shouldn't exist. Let's start with the numbers. Because when I first saw these, I honestly checked the source twice. Moringa oleifera, that's the full name. But we'll just call it Moringa, is a tropical tree. Thin trunk, feathery little leaves. Looks like something from a greenhouse that stopped trying. Not exactly intimidating. Then you look at what's in those leaves, and the tree gets a lot more interesting. These are gram-for-gram comparisons, so we're being fair. Moringa leaves contain roughly 7 times the vitamin C of oranges. 7 times oranges have had a solid century of being the vitamin C food. Good run. Moringa just walked in and said, "Hold my seed pod." Vitamin C matters: immune function, skin health, iron absorption. It's not a trendy nutrient, it's foundational, and Moringa has a remarkable amount of it. Calcium. Moringa leaves contain roughly 4 times the calcium of milk. 4 times. Calcium keeps bones dense, nerves firing, muscles working, especially as we get older. Your doctor has been recommending milk for 30 years because of calcium. Here's a tree quietly outperforming it by a factor of 4. Potassium. 3 times the potassium of bananas. Bananas have been coasting on their potassium reputation for decades. They sponsor half the gym content on the internet. Moringa doesn't even have a logo yet, already winning iron. 3 times the iron of spinach. Spinach has been riding the Popeye reputation since 1929. Moringa respectfully disagrees. And then there's this. Moringa contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a complete protein source. That's unusual for a plant. Most plants require you to combine foods, rice and beans for instance, to cover your full amino acid profile. Moringa does it solo. It's like that person at the potluck who brings the entire meal by themselves. You're grateful, slightly suspicious, mostly just hungry. Now, why does this matter to us specifically? Because most of us have never heard of this plant. We've heard of kale. We've had approximately 10,000 conversations about superfoods since 2010. And yet Moringa, documented for over 4,000 years, is still a stranger to most Western kitchens. That's a geography problem. Moringa thrives in tropical climates: India, Southeast Asia, sub-Saharan Africa, regions that historically didn't set the Western health trend cycle. But Moringa powder, capsules, and tea are increasingly available in health food stores. And as we'll talk about shortly, it's more growable at home than most people realize. One more thing. A peer-reviewed paper in the Journal of Food Science and Technology described Moringa as a, and I quote, miracle tree. Scientists are famously understated with their naming. They called a star Alpha Centauri. So when a journal uses the word miracle, you pay attention. That's remarkable. But the nutrition is honestly the least surprising part of this story. What humans have done with this tree across dozens of cultures for thousands of years, that's where it gets genuinely strange. Because Moringa isn't just a health food, it's a survival tool. Point 2. Why entire civilizations depended on this tree. Let's go back about 4,000 years. Moringa is native to the foothills of the Himalayas, northwestern India and Pakistan. Ancient Sanskrit texts, some of the oldest medical literature in human history, reference Moringa by name. The Ayurvedic tradition lists it as a treatment for over 300 conditions. We'll be honest about that number in a moment. But first, the historical footprint, because Moringa didn't stay in one place. Roman soldiers used Moringa oil, extracted from the seeds, as a skin and hair treatment. They called it Ben oil. This is documented in Roman texts, not folklore, history. Ancient Egyptians cultivated moringa. Plant remains found in tombs suggest they used moringa oil as a perfume base and skin protectant. In a desert climate where skin care was a genuine survival issue, moringa was the answer. In the Philippines, moringa, called malunggay locally, has been a dietary staple for centuries. Mothers have traditionally been given moringa leaves while breastfeeding, based on the generational belief that it supports milk production. Modern research is now investigating this. Some studies show promising results, which means Filipino grandmothers were ahead of clinical trials by about 500 years, as grandmothers tend to be. In sub-Saharan Africa, moringa has been a famine food. When crops fail and food runs out, moringa keeps growing, drought-resistant, fast-growing. Every part, edible leaves, pods, flowers, seeds, an entire tree of nutrition still standing when everything else is surrendered. This is why the World Health Organization and UNICEF have actively promoted moringa cultivation in food-insecure regions of Africa, not alternative health culture, official humanitarian strategy. Now here's the detail that genuinely stopped me. Water purification. Proteins in crushed moringa seeds can purify water. When added to contaminated water, these proteins bind to bacteria, sediment, and other particles, causing them to clump and sink. This process, called flocculation, is the same principle used in modern municipal water treatment. Moringa does it naturally. A study published in Colloids and Surfaces B. Biointerfaces demonstrated that moringa seed extract could reduce bacterial contamination in water by over 90% under certain conditions. 90%. No chemicals, no electricity, no infrastructure. One tree feeds you, heals you, cleans your water. It's like the Swiss Army knife of the plant kingdom, except it's been doing this job since before Switzerland existed. Here's the larger picture. We talk about superfoods as though scientists invented the idea that certain plants are more nutritious than others. Moringa's story reminds us that human beings have been doing nutritional science for thousands of years. They just called it something different. They called it survival. The people who discovered moringa didn't have peer-reviewed journals. They had necessity, they had observation. Communities who noticed generation after generation that this tree made them stronger, healthier, and helped them live through conditions that should have ended them. And researchers studying food security in the context of climate change are now paying close attention because moringa grows where almost nothing else will. Poor soil, drought, tropical heat, minimal rainfall. As traditional agricultural zones become less reliable, plants like moringa become more important. Which raises a practical question: could you actually grow this yourself? Most people assume a tropical tree from Africa and India is impossible to grow at home. Most people are wrong. And this next part is where moringa stops being something you order online and becomes something you could have growing in your backyard by next spring. Point 3. You can actually grow this thing. Moringa grows fast. Not fast for a tree, fast by almost any plant standard. Under the right conditions, moringa can grow 6 to 10 feet in its first year. You plant a seedling, you blink, and it's suddenly eye level with your gutters. It's a little alarming. You start to wonder if it has ambitions. Climate. Moringa thrives in USDA zones 9 through 11, Southern California, Florida, Texas, Hawaii, Gulf Coast. If you're in zone 7 or 8, moringa can still grow outdoors. It'll die back to the roots in a hard freeze, but the roots often survive and it regrows in spring. Gardeners call this treating it as a herbaceous perennial. In colder climates, think Pacific Northwest, New England, Canada, grow it in a large container and bring it inside for winter. Smaller plant, still productive, still the most interesting conversation piece on your porch. Soil, not fussy. It prefers well-draining soil and dislikes wet roots. It tolerates poor, sandy, even rocky ground. This is one of its survival traits. Where other plants fail, moringa shrugs. Sunlight, full sun, 6 to 8 hours minimum. Moringa comes from places where the sun is not subtle, watering. Once established, moringa is drought-tolerant. Young plants need regular watering. Mature plants, surprisingly forgiving. You can go on a 2-week holiday without arranging a plant sitter. Moringa will manage. It survived African droughts long before either of us came along. Starting from seed. Germination rates run 80 to 90%, unusually reliable. Sow about an inch deep in warm, moist soil. Germination typically happens within 1 to 2 weeks. An overnight soak in water before planting speeds things up slightly, but isn't required. Starting from cuttings. Large cuttings, branches 1 to 2 inches thick, at least 2 feet long, can be planted directly into the ground. They root readily. This is why moringa spreads so easily across tropical villages. No nursery needed. Snap off a branch, plant it, go home for tea. The tree handles the rest. Harvesting leaves can be harvested continuously once established. Snip leaf clusters regularly. The plant bushes out in response. More harvesting means more growth. Moringa rewards attention. The young pods are edible and popular in South Asian cooking, particularly curries and dal. Flavor lands somewhere between asparagus and green beans. Mature seeds can be roasted like nuts. Flowers are edible. Young roots have been used as a horseradish-style condiment. You eat the whole thing. Minimal waste. It's the plant equivalent of using every part of the buffalo. Considerably easier to grow in a pot. Now, I want to be straight with you. A lot of moringa videos treat it like a magic potion, a cure-all, and I promised you this video would be honest. So here's what science has actually confirmed, and what it's still debating. And I think this part is just as interesting as everything else. Point 4. What science has confirmed, and what it hasn't. Science is genuinely interested in moringa. As of the mid-2020s, hundreds of published studies exist. Research institutions across India, the Philippines, the US, and Europe are all paying attention. Some findings are strong. Some need more work. You deserve to know which is which. Nutritional value, confirmed. The numbers from point 1 are well established, not contested. Antioxidant activity, well supported. Moringa contains quercetin, chlorogenic acid, and isothiocyanates, compounds studied extensively in laboratory settings with consistently strong results. Anti-inflammatory properties. Promising, not conclusive. Multiple animal studies show real anti-inflammatory effects. Human clinical trials are more limited. This is common in nutritional research. Something works in a petri dish for years before human trials confirm the same effect in people. The research is encouraging. It isn't finished. Blood sugar management, interesting, needs more work. Small human studies have shown modest reductions in fasting blood sugar, particularly in people with type 2 diabetes. Intriguing results. Small sample sizes. Larger trials are needed. Moringa is not a replacement for diabetes medication. That's not a legal disclaimer. That's honest medicine. Cholesterol, similar story. Animal studies and a handful of small human trials suggest possible LDL reduction, not robust enough for clinical recommendations yet. Milk production. Mixed, some trials show increased milk volume in breastfeeding mothers. Others show no significant effect. The cultural tradition clearly predates the science by centuries, which means either grandmothers identified something real that research hasn't fully confirmed, or it's a case of placebo and communal belief. Either answer is genuinely fascinating. The 300 conditions from Ayurveda? Ancient texts were written in a different context than modern medicine. Observation without controlled experiments. Some traditional uses have held up under scientific scrutiny. Others haven't been tested yet. Others have been tested and not confirmed. That doesn't mean Ayurveda was wrong. It means science hasn't finished its homework. Here's the honest summary. Moringa is one of the most nutritionally complete foods that grows on a tree. Adding it to your diet, powder in a smoothie, fresh leaves in a salad, brewed as a tea is supported by the evidence. Treating it as a medical cure for a specific condition without talking to your doctor. That's a different conversation. And one practical note, if you're taking blood thinners, blood pressure medication, or diabetes medication, moringa may interact with those. Have a quick conversation with your pharmacist before adding significant amounts to your routine. They will not judge you. They've heard stranger questions. Here's what we covered today. A tree with 7 times the vitamin C of oranges, 4 times the calcium of milk, all 9 essential amino acids documented for over 4,000 years across India, Rome, Egypt, the Philippines, and sub-Saharan Africa. A tree that can purify water using nothing but its own seeds. That humanitarian organizations are actively using to fight malnutrition. That modern researchers are studying with serious interest. That you can grow in your backyard, or in a pot on your porch in your first season. That's moringa. It's not the prettiest tree. It won't win a landscaping award. It looks honestly like it got dressed in a hurry, more sensible garden utility than showpiece, like a trusty pair of wellies. Not glamorous, but you'd miss them the moment they were gone. But if you'd asked a farmer in India 4,000 years ago, or a nurse in the Philippines last Tuesday, or a water engineer in rural Tanzania, which one tree they'd want access to above all others, they'd point to the same one, the quiet one. Feathery leaves, grows fast, asks little, gives a lot, the most wanted tree on earth. And now you know why.